The worn oak stairs of the Victorian Mansion creaked a familiar greeting under Emily Thompson's weight. For 32 years, this 4,000-square-foot house in suburban Boston had been more than a home. It was the living, breathing archive of her life. Her fingers trailed lightly over the smooth wooden banister, and for a fleeting moment, she could almost feel the ghost of her parents' warmth imprinted in the grain. She was a creature of quiet habit, her soft brown hair smoothed back, her understated navy suit the same uniform she'd worn since her college days. As a senior accountant, she found comfort in order and predictability, qualities her own home had tragically lost. Pushing the heavy front door open, she was met not with warmth, but with the sterile chill of air conditioning. "I'm home," she called into the silence, her voice swallowed by the high ceilings. Her mother-in-law, Patricia, emerged from the sitting room, a vision of calculated elegance. "Oh, Emily, working late again?" she inquired, her tone laced with a subtle distaste that never quite reached her perfectly made-up smile. A former private school teacher, Patricia now lived a life of leisure funded by a generous insurance policy, her days filled with bridge and social calls. A voice echoed from the second floor. "Welcome back." It was her sister-in-law, Rachel, a self-styled beauty influencer, whose 20,000 followers funded an illusion of employment. In reality, her lavish lifestyle, and her staggering $330,000 credit card debt, was bankrolled entirely by Emily's husband, Michael. Emily retreated to the kitchen, the one room that still felt like hers. Married for 3 years, the last 6 months, since Patricia and Rachel had moved in, had drained the house of its soul. Her husband, Michael, a successful architect whose own income comfortably exceeded $150,000, had become a ghost in his own home, increasingly absent and cold, his attention diverted by real estate ventures and his excessive indulgence of his sister. As she prepared dinner alone, a text flashed on her phone. It was from her brother, James, a partner at a prestigious Boston law firm and the co-executor of their parents' estate. "How are you? I'll call this weekend." The simple message was a lifeline. James, sharp and reliable, had called every week without fail since their parents' tragic death 2 years ago. His steadfast presence was a quiet reminder of the family she had lost. Through the kitchen window, the rose garden she had planted with her father bloomed defiantly. This house, worth over $2 million, was a landmark in a neighborhood rapidly succumbing to redevelopment. Old homes were vanishing, replaced by soulless condominiums, and the pressure to sell was a constant, looming shadow. That evening, she ate at the vast dining table alone. Messages from her in-laws stated they would eat in their rooms. Michael would, once again, be late. The silence was a heavy blanket. Her parents' final plea, "Protect this house," echoed in her heart, a vow she shared with James. But lately, keeping that promise felt like a battle she was losing. The crisp morning light of the holiday found Emily already in the kitchen. It was Patricia's birthday, and she had spent the previous day selecting the finest ingredients. Dressed in a new navy dress, she moved with efficient grace. The dining room was set with antique china and a fresh floral centerpiece beneath the crystal chandelier. The roast beef was perfect, the Bordeaux breathed, and the custom cake waited. Near noon, Rachel fluttered in, impeccably dressed. "I'm meeting friends for tea," she announced, grabbing a drink. "I'll just have something light." She left without a second glance. Patricia arrived later to survey the work. "Well, aren't you quite the cook?" she said, her voice dripping with condescension. "But is the seasoning right? Do you even know my preferences?" Emily offered a silent, weary smile. She knew the preferences by heart. She simply wasn't the preferred company. At 6, the party began. Michael arrived directly from work. Patricia preened in a new dress. Rachel floated in, laden with shopping bags. The family gathered under the glittering chandelier, and that's when Emily saw it. 6 chairs, 7 place settings. A cold dread settled in her stomach. "Oh, the chairs," she murmured. Rachel offered a malicious grin. "What? There are enough seats for everyone, right?" "Oh, Emily," Patricia said with an elegant, cruel smile. "Why don't you eat in the kitchen? You must be so busy clearing up." The room froze. Michael said nothing, the light from the chandelier glinting coldly off his expensive watch. In that moment, the carefully constructed pretense shattered. Emily slowly straightened her spine. her mild temperament hardening into something steely and resolute. "It seems I am not considered family here," she said, her voice quiet but clear, cutting through the silence. "Please excuse me." She did not run. She walked, with a dignity they could never possess, to her room and picked up her phone. "James?" she said, her voice remarkably steady. "It's me. I've reached my limit." "I understand." His voice came back, a calm fury simmering beneath the words. "I'm coming right now. Wait for me." Downstairs, the party resumed its hollow chatter. No one noticed the absence. No one imagined the reckoning that was moments away. An hour and a half later, the doorbell rang. James's presence in the doorway silenced the room utterly. Dressed in a severe, expensive suit, he held a heavy briefcase. His expression, usually one of cool composure, was dark with protective fury. Without a word of greeting, he marched to the antique table and began spreading out documents, confidential development contracts, email printouts, bank records, architectural plans. They formed a damning paper trail of betrayal. "A contract signed last month," James began, his voice a judicial hammer, "for the sale and development of this property into luxury condos, a $500,000 upfront payment, already deposited into Michael's personal account." Michael paled, his hand trembling. "That was for operating funds." "This was for the family, for a modern life." Patricia tried to interject, her voice frail. "Big brother, my apartment," Rachel wailed in a panic. "You promised me the corner unit on the 5th floor." "Rachel, be quiet," Michael hissed. But it was too late. James laid bare the entire scheme: the promised penthouse for Rachel, the $200,000 monthly allowance for Patricia, all advanced while systematically excluding Emily. "But you all made one critical oversight," James stated, pulling a final, solemn document from his case. "Our parents' will. They foresaw this." Tears welled in Emily's eyes as her brother read the clauses that were her shield: her absolute veto on any sale, a 20-year restriction on its transaction, severe financial and criminal penalties for violation, and the requirement for all major decisions to be made jointly by the two siblings. "These clauses are legally ironclad," James concluded, his gaze sweeping over their ashen faces. "The contract money you've already accepted could very well constitute fraud." Patricia's society-perfect facade crumbled into sheer terror. "You can't mean to press charges. My reputation." Michael turned desperate eyes to his wife. "Emily, we can talk about this. We're husband and wife." Emily looked at the man she had married, seeing only a stranger terrified for his career. The last of her hope for their marriage extinguished itself. She met his plea with a profound, unshakable calm. "It's too late." Emily's voice was not loud, but it was absolute, forged in the quiet fire of betrayal. The house around her, every cherished memory in its walls, every rose bush planted with love, was no longer a weight on her shoulders but the foundation beneath her feet. Her famous patience had burned away, leaving only adamant resolve. "The lawsuit is prepared," James stated, his voice a cold, precise instrument. "The defendants are Michael Thompson, Patricia Thompson, Rachel Thompson, and the development company." He laid the formal complaint on the antique table, a stark contrast to the birthday finery. "We are also filing a criminal report regarding the misappropriation of contract funds. The authorities will have a keen interest, particularly for potential money laundering. Asset freezes are already in motion." The festive air curdled into something thick and suffocating. The glittering decorations now seemed garish, a mockery of the celebration that would never be. "And now, my final instruction." James rose to his full height, every inch the formidable litigator. "Any further attempt to circumvent the law will be met with immediate and severe action. You have 24 hours to vacate this premises. Your belongings will be inventoried and returned under my direct supervision." It was the final, silent detonation. Patricia crumpled into her chair, her elegant facade collapsing into ashen ruin. Rachel dissolved into ugly, panicked sobs. Michael simply stood, hollowed out and dumbstruck, watching the ruin of his life. The glamorous birthday party was over. On the table, the feast Emily had prepared sat untouched: the perfect Wagyu roast beef, the rich lobster bisque, the grilled vegetables, and the magnificent cake stood as a silent monument to their betrayal. The expensive Bordeaux, Its cork never pulled, grew warm and stagnant. Emily turned to the window, gazing out at the rose garden. She had protected it. The evening breeze brushed her cheek like a gentle sigh of approval. In the glass, her reflection looked back, a woman who had been fractured and had chosen to fuse herself back together with steel. This is not an ending, she realized. It is a genesis. A small, steady light kindled within her. 2 weeks later, in a sun-drenched conference room high above Boston, Emily faced her brother across a polished table. Divorce papers lay between them. Her voice, once so soft, now carried a new, unshakable authority. This is the proposed asset division. While her core gentleness remained, it was now armored with strength. It seems Michael's deceit was more extensive than we knew, James said, his mouth a tight line. He slid another file across the table. Evidence of a double life, padded invoices, under the table deals with contractors, blatant tax evasion. The brilliant architect's career was built on a web of fraud. We've confirmed 5 separate cases of misconduct in the last 3 years alone. The scandal had rippled outwards, reshaping their world. Patricia's social standing evaporated overnight. Her twice-weekly bridge games were a thing of the past. We also uncovered this, James said, pulling up a decade-old news article on his tablet. It detailed the suspicious circumstances around her first husband's life insurance payout and subsequent family disputes. This was not her first performance. Emily simply nodded, the revelation bringing resignation, not shock. She was always performing. The fallout for Michael was total. His firm bled clients and staff. The expensive watch was gone, pawned. The tailored suits hung loosely on a man diminished. And Rachel. Emily handed her brother a tablet. It scrolled through a history of social media fraud, selling counterfeit goods, false advertising to her 20,000 followers. Her debt now exceeds $1 million. Bankruptcy is inevitable. The story became a public spectacle. Architect's dynasty crumbles in fraud scandal, splashed across local media and architectural journals. The court's final orders were decisive. Assets frozen, travel restricted. The documents were heavy with the finality of an ended era. But in the midst of the ruin, something new was growing. Emily's Victorian home, the source of the conflict, was being reborn. The Historical Preservation Society is fast-tracking its designation, James reported, a genuine smile finally breaking through. It's becoming a landmark. You've started a movement, Emily. He placed one final document before her, a restraining order against Michael, Patricia, and Rachel. It was her guarantee of peace, the official demarcation of her new beginning. Tears welled in Emily's eyes, but they were not of weakness. They were the quiet, proud acknowledgement of a battle fought and won. She looked out at the vibrant city below, took a deep breath, and stood. Her face, illuminated by the morning sun, held no more shadows of doubt. Before she left, she picked up a small, silver-framed photo from the desk, a portrait of her parents in the garden. Smiling, she gave a slight, confident nod to their memory. She had not just found the answer to what family meant, she had become its living embodiment. 1 year later, spring air, sweet with the scent of roses, filled the garden of the Victorian house. Emily knelt, tending to the blooms that were more prolific than ever. "The tour will be here soon," called Sarah from the kitchen terrace. A friend met through the Historical Preservation Society. She was now a fixture in the home, her presence a symbol of the new community Emily had built. Emily removed her gloves. The garden now featured a new bench for visitors, and the house itself was alive with careful restoration, the stairs painstakingly repaired, the stained glass expertly restored. It was a seamless blend of heritage and new life. Over homemade lemon cake, Sarah asked, "How's the book coming?" "It's getting there," Emily said, a shy but proud smile on her face. The book on preserving historical homes was her new purpose, giving voice to the values she had fought for. Her professional life had blossomed too, a promotion to department head and a significant raise, but more importantly, a newfound confidence to lead. Her phone buzzed. "James." "Emily, free for dinner tonight?" "Always. I'll make your favorite," she said, the bond between them stronger than ever. The paths of her former family were quiet and separate. Michael, his license suspended, worked as a draftsman in a distant town, his glamour replaced by grim modesty. Patricia, exiled from society, lived in a quiet nursing home, her depression a stark contrast to her former vivacity. Rachel, after bankruptcy, worked as a retail clerk, her social media fame and mountainous debt erased, her life reduced to simple survival. They are alive, Emily thought without malice. She had learned that consequences have their own quiet power. In an hour, the schoolchildren arrive for their tour. Sarah reminded her, the house was now a classroom, teaching a new generation about history and belonging. This neighborhood changed because of you, Emily, Sarah said, gazing at the revitalized street. Perhaps, Emily replied softly, but what truly changed was me. At twilight, she stood before her parents' photograph. I am happy, she whispered. In this house, I found a new family, one I built myself. Outside, the spring breeze stirred the roses. Tomorrow, the sun would warm this house again. Emily watched the sunset, a profound peace settling in her heart. This was not the happiness she had once been told to expect. It was better. It was hers. And though the form of family had changed, its true essence, love, loyalty, and protection, remained, etched into the very bones of the old house and forever blooming in the garden she tended.